Welcome to another video from Performance with Project. Have you ever felt a little uneasy about starting a project schedule? Getting the schedule off the ground? Have you ever wondered what are the steps that I must take in an orderly manner in order to get the most out of the schedule? Well, in this video we're going to look at this in a little detail through four main areas. One, how can you organise your project schedule so that it looks good and is usable? How can we link our tasks and indeed unlink them? And in what way does Microsoft Project organise the schedule so we can see our critical path? And then we'll finish off with some of the pitfalls that we can avoid in our project scheduling. So let's get into it. Now, before you get into the business of organising your tasks, noting all the tasks and activities that you want to include in your project schedule, there is some upfront things that you can do in order to make your project schedule composition a little bit more smoother. Now, if you get an opportunity, please have a look at Project with Performance Getting Started video. And this video will highlight some of the reasons why you would want to ensure that all of your tasks are set as auto-scheduled by default, and also have as its task characteristic as fixed duration rather than fixed units. There's some good reasons why you might want to do this, as well as highlighting your project start date and highlighting your non-working days. It'll make the job a little bit more easier for you. The example project we're going to look at today is putting together a street party. However, the processes and principles that we're going to be going through, as well as some of the suggestions, can apply to any project. Now, hopefully by this point you have a business case, project brief, or even better, a work breakdown structure which highlights all of the tasks and activities that you need to get the job done. And you can see I've put together some high-level tasks that I'm probably going to tease out a little further as part of this initiative here. So what I'm going to want to do is probably space these out a little bit. Now you can do this by right-clicking and showing Insert Task, and you can do this. Or if your version of Microsoft Project allows, you can simply tap on the Insert button on your keyboard and you can start to give yourself a little bit of space to put these low-level tasks in your high-level tasks. In the interest of saving time, I'll get to work and fill out all of the lower-level tasks that I can include in this project schedule. Okay, so we have now inserted all of the tasks that we feel that we need to get this project to the point of completion. But you'll notice that it's still a little difficult to follow, isn't it? For example, our heading tasks or our task summary line items there don't really stand out. So what we do is we can click on the sub or the lower level task, and you'll notice here we can indent task. And we can do it individually, or we can do it as groups like so. And you'll see straight away that our summary heading there is in bold, and it kind of reads a little bit more like an essay, doesn't it? Because as you go through a written piece of work, it has headings, so we can do the same with our project schedules, and this will make it a lot easier to follow. Now, if you are a fan of keyboard shortcuts, you can go Alt, Shift, right arrow, and it will do the same. Incidentally, if you want to change your mind and you want to move those tasks by outdenting, you can simply do the same there by outdent task. Click on that like so. Or you can, once again, use the keyboard shortcut Alt, Shift, and left arrow, and it can do the same. But I'd like to continue with what I'd already set out to start, and I'm going to set out my project by indenting and making my high-level categories and grouping of tasks stand out. A useful mechanism with Microsoft Project is that you can nominate tasks as milestones, and these will sit a little differently on your Gantt chart. So first of all, how do we go about nominating a milestone? Well, for example, at the end of our project here, we'll likely have a milestone, party complete. And to do that, you simply set your task duration as 0, and then it is classified as a milestone. You can see that by the black diamond that is signified there on the Gantt chart. So without further ado, I'm actually going to organize this project to ensure that there is a milestone at the end of each of these task groupings. Okay, so as you can see, we have our task milestones shown, and this, as we mentioned before, symbolized by that black diamond there. So we're at the point now where we can probably start to estimate the time that each individual task will take. So hopefully we have a bit of knowledge about that already. We've sat down and discussed it with our project team, or as in the information perhaps might even also be contained in the work breakdown structure. And you can simply do that by inserting numerals or numbers in like so. So you can do simply tap a certain number, or you can get in there and use these little radial buttons, whatever's most convenient for you. And as you go along, you can see you don't want to put time against milestone tasks, because they should be set at 0 to indicate that they're milestones. But you can simply go along. Now you may be presented with this planning wizard box. Do you want to do this faster? This will come up if you have repetitive tasks of the same duration. Now for me, I tend to click OK and not take them up on the offer to go and do that, because I like to have greater control as to what tasks that I put in. So I'm going to continue now to put time in against each of these tasks, and this should then take us to the next step. Okay, we have our milestones, we have our task durations in place. Now we can start to link our various tasks as part of this project. And you can see this certainly needs doing, because every task in this schedule is shown as starting on the same date, and we know that that never happens, or very, very seldom happens in a project environment. So we need to start to organize our schedule through linking predecessors and successors in the tasking arrangement. Now we can do this by selecting a task, and you can hit the control button and then select another task, or you can simply drag your mouse and select 2 tasks. And then you'll notice here there is the link selected tasks button in your task ribbon in Microsoft Project. Simply click on that and you can see straight away that the tasks become linked. Task number 6 now has a predecessor of 5, and you can see that the dates are automatically put in place and scheduled as that arrangement would suggest. Now, if we want to say, for example, all of these tasks, one will occur after the other one's complete, they'll all be in sequential manner, you can simply select the 4 tasks, as we can see in this case. In fact, we'll select the whole lot, including our milestone, and you can select that task there, or you can simply select Control or use the keyboard shortcut Control F2. And as you can see, all tasks are organized sequentially in this particular case. Now you might wonder, well, what happens if we decide, for example, that task number 7, complete risk assessment, if required, can actually commence after permissions and permits have been obtained? Well, you can once again click on the tasks that are already connected, and you can disconnect it, or in other words, unlink the tasks. And you simply do that as by the break chain button on your task ribbon there, and you can see that that's changed. But remember, we would like to ensure that this task and this task now occurs sequentially. So select the task, hold your control button down, and then select the other task, and then link it like so. And as you can see, we have the desired outcome. So I'm going to go through now and do all the necessary predecessors and successors for this project, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Now we will have a video that's entitled Linking and Modifying Tasks. I'd encourage you to have a look at that, because that will look at this particular aspect of Microsoft Project in a little bit more detail. Okay, now you can see that I've organised all of my tasks in the arrangement that I want for this particular project. Now the next step is to look at the critical path. Now you might wonder, well, what is the critical path? Well, the critical path is the path along a Gantt chart where, if any of the tasks are extended or delayed, then the overall time frame, or in other words, the end date, is also affected. Now, first of all, how does Microsoft Project calculate this for us? Well, simply go to your Gantt chart format tab in the ribbon and then select critical tasks. And notice the tasks that change to red. Well, these indicate the tasks that lie on the critical path. Now, as mentioned before, these are the tasks that have the potential and the ability to affect the overall time frame and indeed that end date. So for example, we have planned activities for all ages as a task on that critical path. If we were to extend that by another day, 5 days, notice there that the overall time frame is also extended. It's the 23rd of August. So it's a very, very useful tool for project managers, particularly when it comes to identifying risks and issues within your project. For example, when putting together your risk register, you're no doubt will want to have a look at these tasks that lie on the critical path and obviously apply the weighting for any risks that have the potential to affect those tasks as it should be deserved. So, critical path analysis, as you can see, it's very easy in Microsoft Project and is a very, very useful tool to add to the repertoire. Now, there are a few pitfalls, or in other words, common mistakes, that are worth reviewing so that we don't get caught up in these sorts of situations. And the first one is ensuring that our tasks modes are consistent through our project. As we already mentioned, there are benefits to ensuring all of your tasks are auto-scheduled. So if you see a task there that's got the little aqua or teal-like pin in there, you can see that is a manual task, and you will want to change that to auto-scheduled. So try and keep your task mode consistent in your project. Another thing to be on the lookout for is getting into a habit of linking your summary task headings to other tasks within your schedule. So for example, if I were to link pre-party planning with coordination of decorations and setup, for example, and do that, it doesn't actually do anything to the overall project, and actually just creates a little bit more mess, shall we say, or a little bit more noise. And I'd strongly encourage you to not do that. So in order to keep your project schedule clean, simply ensure that the tasks underneath these particular summary task headings are linked, and leave the summary task headings alone in that regard. Now, another situation that we should check in our project schedules are tasks that have been left unlinked. Now, we have an example of that here. You can see task 6 here, for example. You notice there at the end of the bar there is no arrow that comes out of it. Really, the only task that should have no arrow coming out of the end of it is our final task here. And you can see another example here of a situation there. The problem with this is what happens, for example, if one of these tasks was extended for whatever reason. It might have got massively extended, we'll put it out for 20 days. Well, you can see that if it's left unchecked, there are no consequences for the overall project. However, if we were to link that, well, then we can see that there are consequences to the overall project. So it's a very important thing to ensure that the tasks within the body of our particular project have the arrows coming out of it, or in other words, they connect in to another a particular task or milestone within our schedule. Now there is one more item that we should look at, and it's connected with our durations, and it's to do with durations that have a question mark in it. Now you can see here 62 days question mark. This tells us that there is a task where we haven't yet considered the duration or the estimate of the duration of that task. And all you need to do is really scroll down. You can see that somewhere that fits in on this grouping. You can see here, ensure safety measures are in place and followed. 1 day question mark. Well, it shows that we need to consider the duration here. So simply make that adjustment and you'll see that the question marks go away. It's important to do this because if you are presenting this schedule to a project board or executive, it looks messy and it can be a little embarrassing. So please make sure that you consider task duration against all tasks in your schedule. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, and please let me know too if you have subscribed or you have any further feedback. We'd love to hear from you.